North of 10 years after the occasions of the primary film, the film starts with Jake Contaminate portraying his unassuming and quiet life as head of the Omadakaya group and raising a family with his significant other Neytiri, which incorporates his children Nadiam and Loak and his girl Tuk, his embraced girl Carrie, brought into the world from effortlessness Augustine's sluggish Navi symbol, and a human kid named Bug, the child of Miles Quaritch who was brought into the world on Pandora however couldn't be moved to Earth in cryostasis. While Jake can acknowledge Insect as a took-on child, Neytiri is skeptical of him given his human beginnings. Notwithstanding, every one of the kids blend and mingle well with one another including Bug, whom Carrie is loving with despite the fact that he is a human. Insect doesn't embrace his human legacy and feels more lean to Navi culture and customs. They carry on with a typical existence until one day they notice an unusual star in the night sky. Once more much sadly, they understand it's a RDA space transport with people getting back to Pandora to colonize it, raising another really working base. Among the fresh debuts in the boat is Colonel Quaritch, who has been cloned into a Navi body and with his recollections transferred from before his passing. Accordingly, Quaritch can't recall his destruction because of Jake yet is simply ready to remember the occasions previously and his wrathful mission to kill Jake. To keep the RDA from taking advantage of Pandora once more, Jake drives an essential guerrilla activity against the RDA supply lines debilitating them. In one of the activities, Loak, who ignores Nadiam and anxious to show off his abilities, attempts to help Jake and fight yet gets injured. Jake safeguards and trains him to not jeopardize his own well-being by being crazy. That evening, while at the same time watching out for his injuries, Neytiri serenely reminds Jake to be not excessively unforgiving with Loak, to which Jake communicates his anxiety as a dad for the security of his youngsters. In the meantime, the counter follow-up on the RDA supply lines doesn't agree with Quaritch who starts a pursuit mission to kill Jake. During a perky endeavor, Jake's kids alongside Bug investigate further into the rainforest. Unbeknownst to them, Quaritch and his group are at a similar area investigating the site where Quaritch will see his human remaining parts. An attentive Loak sees their presence and rapidly illuminates his dad Jake who is made aware of the circumstance. Nonetheless, a conflict happens and Quaritch's crew catches Jake's youngsters. Jake and Neytiri show up in time and free a large portion of them, however Bug is taken by Quaritch, who remembers him as his child. On board the boat, the RDA attempts to coercively separate data about Jake from Insect who will not give. Evolving technique, Quaritch tends to Bug as his child and furthermore to make sense of more about the Navi in return for his opportunity on his side. Despite the fact that unagreeable and uninformed about Quaritch's real mission, Insect shows Quaritch Navi culture. Quaritch is additionally effectively ready to tame an Igran flying animal as his vehicle. Realizing the peril, Insect's information on his whereabouts postures to their security and furthermore to stay away from another fiasco. Jake persuades a hesitant Neytiri and his family to expel themselves from the Omadakaya tribe and retreat toward the eastern seaboard of Metcaina, a coral reef island whose faction and way of life is adjusted to Pandora's oceanic national surroundings. Jake gives his central mantle to his replacement and passes on altogether to Metcaina. Once showed up, they are welcomed by the group boss Donawari and his better half Ronald who is far-fetched of them at first. Be that as it may, Jake makes sense of their circumstance and they are consented to remain and given cover. Despite the fact that a few tribesmen criticize Jake and his youngsters for their hereditary human legacy, the family learns the methods of the reef individuals, gaining the appreciation of them. Carrie is entranced with the oceanic existence of Metcaina and fosters a profound bond with the ocean and its animals, while Loak gets to know Syria, the girl of tribe boss Donawari and his better half Ronald. While adjusting to their new climate, Loak gets into a battle with Syria's sibling Onan when he pokes an unrefined fun at Carrie and him of their blended human genealogy. Jake reprimands his child for his way of behaving. At Jake's demand, Loak gets back to apologize to Onan and his companions. Nonetheless, they captivate him to an outing into the region of a risky ocean hunter and leave him abandoned as a vengeance. The ocean hunter attempts to go after Loak. Be that as it may, Loak is saved by and gets to know Payakan, a Telkun, an insightful and pacifistic cetacean species whom the Metcaina think about their profound family. Upon his revisitation of Metcaina, Bostanawari, who became mindful of Onan's activities on Loak, requests that the previous apologize to Loak. Nonetheless, Loak assumes the fault on himself, winning Onan's kinship. He is likewise informed that Biokin is an outsider among his species. In the interim, out traveling to a branch off of the Tree of Spirits, Kiri joins with it to meet her mom, however experiences a vicious seizure. She is recuperated by Ronald, yet when Jake calls Norm Spellman and Max Patel for help, Quirch can follow them to the archipelago where the reef individuals reside. Carrying Insect with him, he seized a whaling vessel which is hunting Tulkuns to collect their mind chemicals for making hostile to maturing cures. Quirch starts to severely scrutinize the native clans about Jake's area bombing that. He arranges the whaling group to wantonly kill the Tulkuns to draw Jake out. Loak intellectually connects with Biokin and discovers that the Tulkun was projected out on the grounds that he conflicted with the methods of his species and went after the whalers who killed his mom. At the point when the Medcaena learn of the Tulkun butchers, Loak takes off to caution Biokin, trailed by his kin, Xyria and Onan. They find Biokin being pursued by the whalers, and Loak, Kiri and Tuk are caught by Quirch. With their kids at serious risk, Jake, Neytiri and the Medcaena set off to defy the people. Quirch powers Jake to give up seeing his spirit sibling risked. Biokin assaults the whalers, setting off a battle which kills a large portion of the team and fundamentally harms the vessel, making it sink. Nadiam salvages Loak and Insect, however is lethally shot. Jake faces Quirch, who involves Kiri as a prisoner. At the point when Neytiri does likewise with Insect, Quirch at first denies his child, yet stops when Neytiri cuts Bug on the chest. Jake, Quirch, Neytiri and Tuk end up caught inside the sinking vessel. Jake chokes Quirch into obviousness and is protected by Loak and Biokin, and Kiri brings ocean animals to help her save Neytiri and Tuk. Bug finds and safeguards Quirch, however passes on him because of his savagery towards the Navy and putting his objective to kill Jake's family over being his dad and turning into a decent man, driving him back to rejoin Jake's loved ones. After Nadiam's burial service, Jake and his family choose to forever remain with